that you love, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to the Nation's Corner. I'm Front Row, joined by Debhausen, the Great and Powerful, and John in South Jersey, just outside of Philly. What's up?
What's happening?
Should be South Philly.
It should be.
Yes. Yeah, you're John from South Philly from now on.
No, I'm not changing it.
No,
No, I'm not changing it. No.
There's equity in that name. We can't mess with it now.
No.
That's true.
Then he has to reapply for patents, and there's licensing, and
It's
Yeah.
trademark. It's all a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo.
I don't
You're
know.
right. You're right.
All right.
All
Real quick, just before we get started, and it's been a while, but to my daughter who is in the chat, GFY, not all of us live in Disney's backyard that we can go there anytime we like. So I'm glad you're having a great time, but GFY.
Look, if you
Wow.
want to make it, if you want to
Right
make
off
it better, Brooke, go to Disney Springs, go to the Sosa cigar store, and buy your father a cigar. He'll be very happy.
Yes.
Okay. There you go. Pro
And
tip.
Upman or Churchill will be rather
No,
appropriate.
Sosa brand is outstanding. It's a family-owned brand that they have a cigar store in Disney. It's awesome. You'd love it.
Okay.
I've
you go.
been going there since 2000 or 2001. Was the first time I went there. It's really cool.
Oh wow. Nice.
But
So I want to start off the show real quick, just before we get into all the wrestling stuff. Mongrovian is not here tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather, but he would definitely want to mention that tomorrow, Bulk Bronson and Gabby Forza are getting married tomorrow. They're both part of our extended Nation's Corner family. We've had them both on the show separately. So I just want to send out a big congratulations to them. If you follow them on social media, you see how adorable they are at all times. So
Very happy
Yeah.
for him.
that's awesome.
yes,
The Savage Gnomes.
savage gnomes. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Sip
Man,
that savage
that is-
sauce.
Mongrovian, tell him our gifts in the mail.
Yes.
Man, there's a lot of people in the chat already. Let's see. We got John and Elder and
No, right
Jim
here.
Mitchell. The other John.
Brother John.
Tony Justice. Tony Justice is not on the show, but he's in the chat. All right. I'll allow it.
Well, when you're the world's greatest truck driver and recently unleashed out of his cage, he tends to travel and roam. So,
Yes.
you know,
And speaking of
does.
Tony, he got one thing checked off of his bucket list today. In his travels, he was in Tupelo, Mississippi, and was able to visit the birthplace of Elvis, which anybody who knows Tony knows that he's an Elvis fanatic. So I'm sure that was really, really special for him.
there is even footage somewhere of a younger Tony Justice impersonating Elvis. As in,
Yes.
like, legit
happened.
jumpsuit, sideburns, hair, guitar. We are endeavoring to get that footage, but
There's a picture recently. He actually did find a picture recently and showed us.
but hey, glad for him. He's back out on the road, making the most of his time, of his off time, and being able to see cool things like that. And you're right, that it means a lot to him and for him. So that's a cool way to spend an off day, Tony.
Yes. Yes.
Very
And a happy anniversary to David from Wichita in the chat. He had called
Yes.
into Busted Open. Was that yesterday?
No, it's today, I think.
Was it
I think
today?
it was today.
I get my days mixed up. I don't know.
I think it was today. It was a great call.
listening to him call in.
Another
Yes.
woman that should be nominated for sainthood, just like our own Jackie Elder's wife, Mongrovian's wife. You know how many for Saintwood for putting up with your degenerate asses for all these years.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mad Mac Davis. Mac Davis in the chat as always. Thank you,
Hey,
dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate you as always. Man, I missed a bunch of people too. There's a bunch of I see Neil's in there. I see man, I think I missed some people. The chat's going by too fast. Anyway,
that
okay.
means-
That's a good thing, right? There's a ton of stuff to talk about. Like, it seems like every day there's 10 new things that comes up, whether
Yeah.
it's on WWE, NXT, TNA, AEW, like holy crap. But I wanted to start off, we're gonna work backwards tonight because I want to start off with my recency bias in SmackDown because it was a damn near perfect show. I mean, the connective dots that the connective tissue, the dots that they put, like the breadcrumbs that they left for us, they were big moments that would genuinely surprised us.
Yeah.
Let's start there. I don't know how you guys feel, but seeing the Motor City Machine Guns debut last week was awesome. I couldn't believe we were
Yes.
seeing them, not only seeing them in a WWE ring, but it was only like we were talking about last night. Like it was recently that WWE wouldn't use Machine Gun Carl Anderson because of the Machine Gun reference. And here we are
Right.
with Motor City Machine Guns in WWE. And then you fast forward to last night, they qualify against DIY, and boom, after having that banger match, they're like, okay, let's do it again right now.
Yeah.
Bloodline with Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. So
And
we have and new
Mm.
tag team champions and Motor City Machine Guns. They've had 3 matches. They've been on 2 weeks and the champions already.
yes,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
John, your thoughts?
I absolutely loved it. Being a fan of the Machine Guns, going all the way back to their individual debuts in original Impact or original TNA, and staying with them and following with them throughout this whole time up now into, superstardom in WWE and becoming tag champions. I could not be more happy for both of them collectively and individually. These are two guys that, much like many others, that they're probably one of the greatest tag teams you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Or haven't had the opportunity to see live or do anything. And all I'm going to say is you're welcome and enjoy the show because both of them, both as singles and as a tag team, are phenomenal in-ring competitors.
Yeah.
And now being in WWE, they will get the seasoning they need on mic time, on promos, and put together into a incredible package. Again, a GFY to all the dirt sheets and they're hot shotting them, and now they have to do just 3 matches and go fuck yourself. Shut up, enjoy it.
Okay, so hang on one second. Mac says he would have rather seen them chase the belts. So I agree. Like my traditional brain says, yeah, let's not rush things. It feels very like hot shot and all that stuff. But then I go, okay, but the last several years has told me that Triple H and team likes a slow burn. They like to give us these long-term stories. I have to think that there's a bigger reason for them winning so early.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I do also think that they greatly benefited from the fact that they are now kind of intertwined with the Bloodline storyline. That with how the Bloodline storyline is going, the Tongans losing the tag championships creates a whole other wrinkle in that. And Motor City Machine Guns just happen to be the ones that are benefiting from the drama that's happening within the Bloodline family storyline.
See, I
could see it either way, really.
Yeah. I looked at it this way. As excited as I was for the Motor City Machine Guns, it kind of makes sense. You have Jey Uso, Yeet, losing the Intercontinental title recently.
Yeah.
Now, Guerrillas of Destruction, as I call them, losing the tag titles.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is something bigger on the horizon for all those parties involved. However, what I really liked about the Machine Guns is for the first time in a while, people are talking about WWE and tag team wrestling again.
Exactly.
It was a much needed shot in the arm. Not that there weren't already great tag teams and have been for a while, but it's been kind of the same names and faces. And, yeah, I mean, you have a returning, which I love now, War Raiders. We're done with the Viking experience. We're moving back towards War Machine. I'm hoping I'll take War Raiders for now, but we're moving more towards War Machine. Please.
It's a Marvel property, sir. It's not going to happen.
Well,
you can fight with Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind.
I never even thought about that.
backing. But again, and it's just one of these things that it's it's this kind of a refocus on tag teams that right now, given that there's not really any major stories outside of title changes or belt changes, there's not much going on with the tag team division. But now people are talking about it again, because now you're looking at, is anybody else going to show up? Is anybody else going to become a tag team? So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and I have great news for David Mitchell. Would love to see Motor City Machine Guns. They did actually defeat DIY last night to qualify for that match against the Bloodline. So if you didn't miss SmackDown, go back and watch it, because that happened yesterday. But I mean, we don't get this. This brings us, I guess, that sort of references our topic that we're going to get to later on in the show. Is you can't see everything. You can't catch every moment of every bit of wrestling that's on TV.
It's tough.
Yeah. So I want to circle back to the beginning of SmackDown, because I thought it was I've been a big fan. We've been talking about all these different production elements and all the different changes that they've made, and in the way that the presentation of the show is done. We saw Randy Orton going through Gorilla, and instead of following him, you notice typically the camera shot, even lately, they avoid looking at Triple H and whoever's on headset. They follow the wrestler out, and it's cool.
Yeah.
But last night, you see Triple H sitting there, and Randy takes a detour and goes over and starts talking to Triple H. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? He has words with him, and then Triple H looks frustrated, and he goes out. Randy goes to the ring and calls out Triple H. And Triple H is like, hey, if you had showed up to work on time, we could have had this conversation. And he probably was late. He was probably legitimately late. And Triple H was like, screw it. I'll call him out on national TV. And then we'll get business done.
I legitimately think Randy got out of his rental car, Uber, whatever, already dressed in his gear and everything, and literally walked from the car through the back, through Gorilla, stopped to talk to Triple H and went to the ring. If they would have told me that's exactly what happened, I would completely buy that.
Yeah. I actually missed the beginning of SmackDown. I was on my way home from work, so I missed the first half hour or so of SmackDown. So I will have to go back and actually watch that. But I did hear them talking about it on Busted Open this morning, and they were talking about how kind of different it was. Like we're kind of getting used to seeing that shot through Gorilla. They've been doing it for a little while now, so we're getting used to seeing that. But yeah, it was, it is a little bit different having, that shot, and you're following that person, and then they go, wait, hold on, stop. I need to say something to Triple H real quick.
Yeah, and what was interesting is, so Randy gets to the ring and he has words with Triple H. It's like, I want the match with Kevin Owens, and Triple H is like, no, I'm blah, blah, blah. Well, and then Randy said, I didn't call out Paul Levesque. I wanted Triple H. I wanted the jean jacket wearing, sledgehammer guy who came to my house and beat the crap out of me. And it was like, you don't usually hear, especially top talent in main storylines, talking about real names and real events and stuff like that. And, everything counts, right? So it was just a really interesting twist. Okay, we got a ton of stuff to cover because holy crap. So if we're gonna go back to Raw for a second, one of the things I thought was really interesting was it on Raw or SmackDown? I forget. But we saw Lash Legend. It was Raw, I believe, right?
Yes.
Lash Legend pick up Piper Niven and slam her, and we saw Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair in the audience just react in the best possible way. For you guys, we're starting to see talent sort of bleed over in between NXT and the main roster, but not really make a quote unquote call up. Are you liking that? How are you feeling about that?
I am liking it overall.
Yeah. I like that people can kind of float, they can make an appearance on Raw or SmackDown without completely being called up to the main roster. I have no problem with that.
Okay. Just real quick, John Bay, we're not going to talk about spoilers for SmackDown next week. I haven't seen any spoilers, and
I don't want to know.
Yes.
I don't like spoilers. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Get ready to flinch, Bay. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
No spoilers. You're happy now? Now you got
I don't really care.
Now you don't have to flinch.
I'll see it when it airs.
I don't like spoilers, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, complete side note, if you guys listened to Busted Open this morning, and I have all the respect in the world for this man, but my God, Matt Camp, please let Mark Henry speak once in a while. I listened to him talk for 2 whole segments without letting Mark talk. I'm like, oh my God, dude, hit the ball back over the fence. Come on, you got the world's strongest man there. Let's go.
Yeah.
But it was a good show.
Yeah. And John Bay, you know us well enough to know what we think about dirt sheets. Like, frankly, we don't give a damn. So
I think he's aiming for 2, but you only get 1 per night. Sorry. That's all we have a budget for. Sounds expensive.
I am. When the t-shirts come out, buy a t-shirt. Coming soon to Pro Wrestling Tees.
Okay, so the last thing about SmackDown I wanted to ask you guys about was the match with Andrade and Carmelo Hayes with I almost said Eli Drake, LA Knight as the special guest.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be the culmination of this series, right?
Yes.
And he just says, fuck it, I don't feel like doing this. And Nick's like, what the hell? Like, I just love that Nick Aldis is like, no, we're not. I'm not allowing you to do this shit. Like, y'all gonna face fatal. Yeah, I adore everything about the way Nick Aldis is handling shit behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that. I think Nick Aldis has been an incredible addition to the storylines in what he's doing. I hope he is able to get in the ring at some point soon. But there's, I know we had planned on kind of talking about this, but there's been some times recently, like even certain storylines that it's not bad. I'm not saying anything's bad, but I feel like I only have so much bandwidth to get invested in so many things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's definitely something we had to talk about. I know there's other stuff that happened on SmackDown, the Cody Rhodes and Gunther thing, like great promos. I don't give a shit about that title. Nobody cares about the Crown Jewel title. I'm sure the match would be great, and I thought the promos were actually really solid, and I wish Deb, you said on Zoom, I wish they had saved this content for something that mattered.
Yeah.
Exactly, because Cody versus Gunther, I think everybody wants to see Cody versus Gunther, but I think everybody probably would agree that we want that to be meaningful, not for some stupid ass belt that no one gives a crap about. Sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's they might as well call it. Listen, the Saudis paid for this. That's what they should call it.
They should call it the bright and shiny.
Yes,
you won the bright and shiny.
Yes, Yeah. Don't thank WWE. Thank the people of Saudi Arabia because they pay for it.
Yeah.
They pay.
And like you said, I'm sure it's going to be a great match. They're both amazing, incredible. They're both incredible in the ring, incredible on the microphone. But yeah, we just wish it was for something more meaningful. Like, we don't give a shit about this stupid belt.
No. I mean, what happened? Braun Strowman won that, like, what was it? He had the big ugly title and he won a cup and he won the greatest Royal Rumble.
The greatest Royal Rumble, yeah.
And we never saw it again.
Yeah.
That was it. It's probably in his garage. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully he uses this as a wheel chalk or something.
Maybe for his Grand National.
Yeah. When he's changing the oil, he jacks it up, and that's what he uses as the drain pan.
Yeah. For sure. Something that I thought was super cool, and God, we've been talking about this since forever. Really been pouring over all of the Wyatt 6 stuff since the documentary back in April. Again, they had another QR code last week, and we were sitting there trying to figure out, like, I know Andre is one of those guys, the tinfoil hat brigade. And we were looking at it going, okay, but like all this stuff is the same from the previous week. Yeah. And then we said, well, what if we looked at the source code of the website, and you open the source code and there was like 6 new links in there. So now we're going QR code to website to source code to links. And then each of the links had puzzles. Oh my God, my brain hurt. So
yeah.
We were going through all this stuff, and you start to realize they might be pointing to another group. And it might be this group, and it might be that group. And we kind of theorized that it might be Final Testament. Well, that's what we saw on Monday Night Raw. We saw poor, precious Paul Ellering get laid out. We saw Scarlett get laid out. We saw all of the members of Final Testament. So, Deb, I know for you, you're a big fan of Karrion Kross and all the stuff that he's been doing. I think you and I listened to the same interview where he talked about the development of what they're doing right now. What were your thoughts on this segment?
I liked it. I think it definitely seems like they, have a solid plan in place. And I was kind of iffy at first about like the thought of the Wyatt 6 going after Karrion Kross and his group. Because I think, what we expected, especially with the Chad Gable group, like the Wyatt 6 were terrorizing them and they were terrified. And at first I was like, oh, it wouldn't make sense for them to go after Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is not going to run like he's scared. But I think that the way they're doing it is really, it's really interesting to me. And like I said, it definitely seems like they have a plan with it. We haven't seen Scarlett do anything physical in quite a while, if at all, since they returned. I can't remember anything specific.
And I don't think she ever had matches in NXT. I literally think she's never had a match in WWE, right?
So I really hope that this is a sign that we're going to see Scarlett, with some more physicality, maybe even have a match against Nikki Cross, something, because as freaking gorgeous as she is, I know that she's talented enough to actually do more than just stand beside him. So I hope that there's something there with that, but I like the way it's going so far.
Yeah, I think John and I have both seen her wrestle on the indies. She can wrestle for sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Okay,
so let's, in the interest of time, I'm going to jump over to Halloween Havoc because, again, like, NXT's doing big things and it's super exciting, and there's all these crossovers with TNA, and I am very, very excited about the tag match that we're going to see with Julia and Stephanie Vakir versus Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez.
Our
very own Neil is something of an expert in this area of all things Joshi.
Neil needs to take a drink right now.
Stalker.
Like, take a drink, sir.
I would say educated enthusiast. How's that for the purposes of legalities? No, but like when these two women came in, like it made a big splash. And then right on the heels of that, we saw the Delta, what's she called now? Zaria?
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it yet. But anyway, we saw the promos, which were awesome. And then as they're going off the air, she shows up. Of course, they ran out of time. We got 4.5 seconds of that. The rest was on socials. But they're really loading this up. I think it's very interesting. So, and there's only, I think, 5 matches listed for Halloween Havoc, which I think is perfect. I think that 5 match, 2.5 to 3 hour show is the sweet spot, at least for NXT.
Especially for something like Halloween Havoc, which traditionally is a very gimmick and stipulation heavy card to begin with. And that's absolutely true in the case of tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me personally, you guys know I'm not a regular NXT watcher. I do watch segments here and there, and I catch up with clips. Obviously, you guys know that my primary reason for tuning in is Ethan Page. So I watch the Ethan Page clips, and my personal opinion after the promo that Ethan and Trick had this past Tuesday, I think, unfortunately, it's showing that Trick is still fairly inexperienced, and maybe the opponents he's had so far haven't really challenged him to the level that Ethan Page can challenge him. Ethan Page is a 17-year vet. He's been doing this for a long time, and I think his promo skills are probably, top notch compared to a lot of other people that have a lower experience level. And Trick has excelled so far in NXT. I think pretty much since he arrived on NXT, he's been one of the massive stars of the show. And I think Ethan Page coming in is just challenging him on a different level. The promo that they had on Tuesday, I think, unfortunately, it just showed that Trick didn't really have any good comebacks or responses to what Ethan Page had to say.
Okay, so I gotta ask you a question, and that's so we understand what we're watching, right? We know
right.
These aren't two guys going out there winging it. Did they do that intentionally because they don't feel that Trick doesn't have the ability yet to carry like a 3-minute comeback?
For sure, that could have been part of the plan, so to speak. For that definitely could have been. And we heard Shawn Michaels on Busted Open kind of acknowledging the fact that Trick has a lot to improve upon. That could have been like Ethan Page came at him, was very, very direct and firm in what he said, and Trick kind of was like, he kind of came back with what we say all the time, like promo 101, just kind of these very basic little comebacks that weren't very substantive.
He basically said, "No, you suck."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I definitely, if you wanted to declare a victor in the promo, absolutely hands down Ethan Page. But I agree with you both that you don't know how deep the water is until you get tested in it. And this may be them slowly bringing Trick into the deep end to see if he really can swim on his own and develop the skills to swim on his own. There's no doubt
that very well could be.
There's no doubt that the guy is going to be a star and even a top star in WWE the next 10 years.
Yeah.
He's consistently. But again, NXT being that developmental, that foundation building, get it right here. So when that time comes for him to be a big star on the main roster, he's ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Deb, I'm glad you mentioned Shawn Michaels because, I mean, how awesome is it that Shawn Michaels just randomly shows up on Busted Open not randomly, but regularly shows up. And he's so
Yeah.
comfortable there that he busts Dave's balls, and it's just such a great vibe. But he got into this mode where I think he was just coaching, and he even said to Bully, like, "Oh, sorry, like I didn't mean to." And they're like, "No, this is what we want to hear." Like,
Right.
but he specifically
Right.
talked about how people that have that are working these hardcore matches, that are doing the more violent stuff, they have to show a different level. They have to show, and he talked about maybe showing that someone likes it, that you have to move past the pain and the blood and the sweat and actually enjoy it. And we saw that concept play out exactly in Ethan Page's promo, which I thought was interesting to hear it in the morning from Shawn Michaels and see it play out on TV.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. That was very interesting. And I do love when Shawn Michaels comes on the show, because it's so funny. I've heard a lot of things recently. You know,
Deb, you won
we're in
1,000 points.
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Wait, you
some
mean
points for
substantive,
Ravenclaw.
not
Woohoo.
submissive?
No.
Wow.
Okay.
Dang.
Okay, I'm for clarity purposes only. Click the link.
Okay.
Click the link.
Anyway, yeah, it's been a funny conversation that's gone around in the wrestling sphere about how Shawn Michaels and Triple H were once the guys who were you make the rules and we break them, and now they're making the rules.
We saw it in the promo.
It's so funny. Like I think I was listening to the Masked Man show where he was joking around about that, and he was like, Shawn Michaels speaks with a lot of clarity and poise for someone who, used to be Shawn Michaels. Like, we all know what Shawn Michaels used to be.
He got sober.
It's
He
just so
found
interesting.
Jesus. He got married. He's absolutely changed his whole life. But absolutely, once upon a time, let's face it, he was a huge asshole. On camera, off camera, anywhere.
Self-admitted.
Yes.
Self-admitted. We've all seen the interviews on the documentaries where he admits that he was a huge pain in the ass, and he was an absolute asshole to most people. But yeah.
Yeah, and look, I don't know how people keep losing Jesus. They just keep finding him. Will someone keep track of him, please?
Yes.
It's driving me crazy. The poor guy's
been
just
around
out
for
there in
thousands
traffic.
of years, evidently.
I don't know. Seems wrong. They should get like a GoFundMe or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other match that I'm really interested in, of course, I'm a big Obafemi guy. Like, I'm very happy with what they've done, but they really let Tony D'Angelo level up in that match where he won the title. And we have a rematch now. What is it? Tables, ladders, and scares, I think they're calling it.
Oh my.
Yes.
Oh my, yeah. So I hope that Tony D retains. I think that his interview on Busted Open really interesting about how, hey, this isn't just a NXT gimmick. This is me. Like, this is my family. This is my upbringing. Like, I'm bringing this to the main roster. You're all going to see layers. So now I'm ready for that. Now I'm like, okay, I got more than just like a Sopranos knockoff backstage.
Sure.
So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, and for me personally, Tony D's interview on Busted Open kind of made me more of a fan of his, because since I'm not a diehard NXT viewer, I don't necessarily get super invested in these characters. So that interview, kind of intertwining in character and out of character very fluidly, it was very interesting to me. You kind of got a little more of a scope at the real person. I'm just happy for him to go to SmackDown and join his brother Roman Reigns. I don't.
It's half brother. Half brother.
Half Italian, half brother Italian. Yeah. Oh my God.
Wait, actually, no. It's cousin. So does that make Tony D'Angelo the 98th cousin?
Maybe.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just, if we're going to be, again, for clarity purposes,
right?
As we famously
Roman Reigns' Italian cousin is coming in to save the bloodline.
Right.
Okay, so for those who don't know what we're talking about, there was a male segment, the male segment at the end of Not Sam Wrestling where, you know what? How about we do this? Deb, you clip it for next week.
Yeah.
We have permission.
Okay.
Clip the segment from the podcast.
Not the whole segment, just that one bit. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We have permission to use Not Sam Wrestling content on the show. So
Okay.
Ooh.
But for anyone who's interested, if you listen to the Not Sam podcast, someone actually emailed Sam Roberts, not just a Twitter post, not just a quick 140 character Twitter post. Actually went into their email and sent Sam Roberts an email talking about how he's got this brilliant idea that Tony D'Angelo is Roman Reigns' Italian cousin, and he's gonna come in and interject with the bloodline. And I don't remember all the other specifics.
Listen, we can all
because Sam was like, no.
the utter look of disgust and just exhaustion on Sam's face was like, oh my god. When he realizes in the moment what's happening.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I actually for once felt sorry for Sam Roberts. It was fleeting, but I did.
Is that possible? I mean, the man has like 50,000 jobs, all of which only include just sitting there and chatting about wrestling. So,
hey, it's a sweet hustle. Don't knock it.
I think he has a radio show too.
Oh yeah,
that
comedian guy.
Comedian guy.
I just have one
that competes with Busted Open
thing about NXT, if we're going to change topics or not. But congratulations, NXT, coming up November 6th. It's a Wednesday. Not only are they going live head to head with AEW Dynamite, but where it's taking place is a place very near and dear to my heart. Some may call it the second home. Some may call it the 2300 Arena. I don't know if I like that name, even though it's been around for 10 years. NXT sold out the ECW Arena for their live TV show Wednesday night, November 6th. Pre-sale, general sale, 5 minutes. How do I know? I was one of the people trying to get a ticket. I had enough time to click on to see the prices, pick a seat, and by the time I got back to the screen to pay for it, it had already sold out, and it was $12.05.
Damn.
Go to the resellers. Good luck paying 3 to 4 times the printed price. But congratulations to them. I think it's going to be a very incredible show to see live. I think it's going to be a great show on TV. They're going to make the old bingo hall properly proud with what they're going to do there. I have total confidence in that. But shout out to
it's very exciting.
Yeah.
It is incredibly exciting that WWE is doing a show there after all these years.
Yes. And those of us who have been there or maybe have been there forever, you'll be able to be on TV like, oh, we sat right there, right by there. That's where we were and all that. But that's something you can do on your own. Play along at home, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I think one of the things...
If you get the chance to go to the ECW Arena with our very own John from South Jersey, he can, give you the private tour and tell you all the stories about how it was back then.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. Since 1990.
I did get the formal John in South Jersey tour of the ECW Arena when we were there. I think I still owe you some money. I apologize.
Yeah, and
we'll work it out.
Before anybody else in the chat asks, yes, there's a mural. Yes, it's in the men's bathroom. Yes, you will see women in the men's bathroom at the ECW Arena getting their picture taken from the mural. It's not a big deal. If you are a young lady, like I told Deb, stay to the left. Don't go to the right because that's where all the urinals and stalls are. Stay to the left and go to the back of the bathroom. You'll just pass the sinks. So, just a tip.
Yep, that was a must. That was a must too. And what's cool is like the opportunities for them to do things like to have legends show up on an NXT show is pretty cool. I think I saw somewhere. Did he say officially? Did Bully say officially that he was doing something there? Or was there an advertisement?
No,
there was a
no.
meeting.
There was the pre-sale.
Was it a rumor?
No, the pre-sale legitimately advertised that for the slim starting price of $275 and up, they were doing an exclusive package for the NXT show, which was including a meet and greet opportunity with WWE legend Bubba Ray Dudley.
Okay.
Those poor suckers paying $275
and more, from what I hear.
My goodness!
Like $275 just like got you the basics package.
Or you could go to a busted open party and do that for free. So
well, that too, but hey.
That was my okay. Can we? I have to go on a rant. This
okay. Go ahead.
You mentioned ticket prices. Holy shit! We saw the prices for WrestleMania 2-day packages and then the single-day packages.
Yeah.
I think the cheapest I saw anybody post for nosebleeds with the ridiculous service fees was like $1,100. How the hell is a family of four supposed to go to WrestleMania and pay like 10 grand for 4 people to sit there? Nope. It's insane.
I can't believe that. I can, but I can't. We famously talk about our friend Lehman and the amount of money he spent for WrestleMania in Philly last year. But, that's becoming norm, not exception. And especially now that we're seeing what these ticket prices are going for. And I understand everybody's like, oh, well, the resellers, and when they stop getting demand for it, they'll drop the price. But who wants to take that chance? And that's what it comes down to. Will you get tickets cheaper at some point? Okay, yeah. But then do you want to wait like 3 days to plan an entire WrestleMania trip?
Exactly.
Just because the tickets are cheaper? No. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
And it's crazy, but it's what we're seeing. We're seeing it already with concerts and festivals and music. And why not? Given the popularity of WWE, especially right now, and how big they do these events, it kind of makes sense. It's not fair, but it kind of makes sense.
It's just crazy because I get that there's a high demand, with concerts and other big, entertainment shows. I get that there's a high demand for, certain musicians like Metallica or Taylor Swift or Beyonce, but I don't know. I just don't fathom charging that much. Like I think the first time I remember hearing about ticket prices that were that insane were like when Miley Cyrus first hit it huge, and there was like a whole hoopla about that her tickets were going for like $1,000 on eBay and stuff. And I don't know. I can't fathom it, even for someone that's in high demand like that. I mean, I'm younger, and I never really went to a lot of concerts and stuff, but I've heard from so many people stories of when they were going to the concerts, in their younger years, and you'd go and see Metallica for $15 or whatever when they were big. That that wasn't even like going to see someone before they hit it big. That that was when they were such a massive band, and the prices weren't astronomical like they are today. I think it's an unfortunate part of kind of like corporate greed that has just upped the prices Like just every year it's increasing and increasing and increasing on everything, to the point where most regular working class people either only go to small shows or they don't go to anything at all. And it's unfortunate. And I've had this conversation with my mom a few times about how, a lot of younger people really don't. So there's this thing called third places. I don't know if any of you have ever heard that term. A third place is a place like a bar or something where people can get together and hang out after work, have a few drinks, whatever, outside their home. People can get together and hang out outside their home. And by and large, those places have kind of gone away because, and I know even when I was in my 20s, I was working in retail. I didn't have a great job or anything. I couldn't afford to go out to the bars every night. We sat in my friend's basement and drank Mike's Hard Lemonade because we couldn't afford to go out. And I think that's something that especially younger people are being priced out. And the only people that can afford that stuff are people kind of like middle-aged and older that are set in their careers and have a savings and stuff like that. Younger people just, can't afford that kind of stuff. I can't afford to go to the bar every night like people in previous generations did, just go and hang out at the bar after work. Every time I go to the bar, I spend nearly $100. I can't afford that. And so these big events are just the same. Like I can't go to a lot of big shows because I have to save up for months and months and months to go to one show. So I'll go to the indies.
For the price of one WrestleMania ticket, you could probably see 5 years worth of indie shows.
Exactly.
So, and honestly,
like Mongrovian said in the chat, these service fees are insane. There's absolutely no reason for them to be charging several $100s extra when they're not even sending you a printed ticket. They're sending you a confirmation email with a barcode. Why the hell are they charging several $100s in an extra fee? Makes no sense. And they're allowed to get away with it because we check the box saying agree to service terms.
Yes.
But you have to, or you just don't get the ticket.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not optional.
I think what it's going to wind up being like a lot of other things. The bubble is going to increase until it finally bursts. There's going to come a tipping point where fans and people in general are going to say enough and just not go. And, a lot of these events are geared and obviously tailored to a live audience. Well, as we see in AEW right now, if you don't have a huge live audience, how do you justify putting a show on in a stadium if you're only going to half fill it? So I don't know when it's going to happen. Hopefully soon, so it has time to adjust back and get back to where everybody can afford to go. But that bubble's going to burst. And then, until then, they're going to keep letting that bubble get bigger. Why? Because people are still paying it, regardless.
I mean, this is what we talk about this a lot. To me, it's the Disney effect, right? Like Disney keeps raising their ticket prices, but the parks are sold out all the time. So, like, who's wrong? Like, they're still paying it. So, if WWE keeps raising the prices to the point where finally people start to drop off, then the tide will turn. But if the tickets keep selling like hotcakes, they're not going to go down. It's still supply and demand 101.
Right.
Exactly. And they're selling like hotcakes right now.
I did want to mention, like Neil had said, and I think we had the cheat code on this last year, and we went to Philly. Like I spent less. I was there 4 days, Wednesday through Saturday. I did Sam's show. I did the Hunkamania thing. We did WrestleCon, Busted Open Party, Masters Class, like a whole bunch of stuff, like 2 or 3 events every day. Hotel, airfare, all of it. I spent less on those 4 days than one WrestleMania ticket, the cheapest WrestleMania ticket that's on sale right now for the whole trip.
Exactly. Yeah. I was talking to someone else about this on Facebook. about that exact thing is, you know, my our WrestleMania trip last year. Granted, it's within driving distance for me, but I still got the hotel because I didn't want to be driving back and forth. That would have been just a huge pain in the ass. And the hotel was the biggest expense throughout the whole weekend. Most of the shows that I went to were free to get in. I just had to worry about making sure I had enough money for food and drink the whole week. And that was pretty much it. And we had a freaking blast. I honestly highly recommend anybody who, you know, maybe can't afford to actually get WrestleMania tickets, find a watch party nearby. It was
For sure.
We went to the watch party at the ECW arena. It was so much fun. And I definitely think that's the way to go if you can't afford to get tickets to the show, or maybe you're just, you know, like me, not really interested in getting nosebleed seats and watching the whole thing on the Jumbotron anyway. I think that's definitely the way to go. Go to a watch party, you know, maybe at a sports bar or something. You can have good food that's cheaper than the stadium. And we all were able to sit down and actually hang out in a more relaxed environment rather than being in a stadium where, especially if you're a larger group like we are, we wouldn't have been able to hang out and talk to each other if we were in the stadium. We wouldn't even been able to get tickets near each other.
And night one was
So-
freezing.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. And David from Wichita, I remember he and his wife were at the stadium for night one, and they ended up leaving partially through because they were both so frozen they couldn't even stand it anymore. And so they came and hung out with us at the arena.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So yeah. So enough of that shit. I hope it stops. I hope they fix it because we can't. Like, nobody can go. Like, I saw so many people online saying, "Hey, I just had to cancel my hotel and all my stuff because now I can't afford to go because the tickets are too effing expensive." But in the few remaining moments, I want to talk TNA because I love stories that result in matches that I can't predict. And tonight we're going to see Joe Hendry challenge Nick Nemeth for his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know where this is going to go. Like, I could definitely see it being Joe Hendry's time, but I also don't want Nick to lose because he brings a big spotlight to the promotion as the champion.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna say Joe Hendry just because I think I would like to see him win, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna still pick Nick as my pick, but I'm right there with you that, like, at the same time, like, I'm gonna pick Nick, but I'm still kind of half undecided. It could go either way. Like, I agree with you that Joe Hendry has kind of had this just whirlwind of a year with the NXT stuff and everything, and his song being on the charts. It's been incredible, and I don't want him to lose that momentum. But at the same time, I really love having Nick Nemeth as our TNA champion, and I don't think it's his time to lose it yet. But I'm gonna pick Nick.
Okay.
John,
you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I am, and I'm gonna put on my Tommy Dreamer / Booker's hat for a second. I can see pros and cons to both of them being champion, and even more so, what's the aftermath if one remains champion or we have an and new? If Joe Hendry does not become champion tonight, I thoroughly expect to see him as a surprise entrant in Royal Rumble.
Ooh. Yeah.
And more of Joe Hendry on TNA or on NXT than TNA. If Nick remains champion, okay, Nick is still on a great run with his first time away from WWE in 20 years and proving that he is still the show stealer. He is still the guy. But if he loses, all that means is now Nick can do more in New Japan, can do more in Mexico, can go over to Europe and do different things as well. So it's one of the things, no downside, no upside to either one, or no more greater than the other. However, I believe in Joe Hendry.
All right,
That's
the
what I'm going
tiebreaker.
All right. So
But you know who really wins? The
us,
fans.
the
the
fans.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yes. And I can apply that same logic to the TNA Knockouts Championship of Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich.
Oh yeah. The fans are winning in that one for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my
Yes.
pick of match of the night tonight, just for the record. So those keeping track. Jordan and Masha are absolutely going to kill it.
My tinfoil hat prediction is that I've wanted to see bigger names from NXT or WWE crossover into the TNA programming, and I think maybe you'll see somebody. I don't know who, but I think it would be cool if you saw somebody big show up tonight.
I really hope so. I have been enjoying the NXT TNA crossover, but I know I've said this before. I do think that some of the talent that has shown up on TNA, like they could have had better names. Just saying.
You have Wendy Chu, a contracted NXT talent, teaming up to go for the knockout tag titles tonight against Spitfire with Rosemary.
Well, and that partnership's been on both shows, which has been great. They've been telling it across
Right.
multiple promotions, which I think is really
cool. Right, but I do agree that I think we deserve to see some bigger WWE names show up on TNA. You know, there's been some NXT talent, but I think by and large the NXT talent that has been on TNA are the names that only NXT diehards are going to know.
That's it. Charlotte Flair's making her return at Bound for Glory.
Perfect. There you go. There you go. Yeah, you wanted the big name? How about the biggest one in the world? There you go.
Oh God, could you imagine?
It'd be a thing.
It would be. I'm just thinking, like, all right, who's in Chicago? Who's like from that area around and all that? But I'm not really coming up with anything as far as
AJ Lee.
Well, yeah, but
oh my God, could you imagine
they're going to say that they have to say that for WWE programming, not necessarily a TNA. It'd be cool as hell, but
she's busy producing TV and writing books and being a mogul. So good on her.
And so all right, folks. Larry.
All right, it's time for the pay-per-view.
Yes,
John, where can people find you on the socials?
As it says in the thing below, at Twisted Metal Fab on the Twitter and the IG, and keep up with the exploits of the most dangerous weapon in all of professional wrestling. Of course, I am talking about the AK9K. You can follow him at AssKicker9K on the Instagram.
Nice. Deb?
At That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine and the Instagram. And that's all I've got.
Nice. And I'm PW Front Row across all the socials. You can find us at Nation's Corner on X or Twitter or whatever you're calling it, or Twix as some people call it.
I don't like that word.
Well, it's making its way around.
Yeah.
And we're the Nation's Corner across all the other socials. Just a couple quick notes. We did kind of tease the topic that we didn't get to tonight. I think I want to hit it next week. Just with the overwhelming amount of content that's out there, there's been some good conversation, and Deb, I think we'll talk about this next week about burnout and trying to keep up with everything. And is it too much? And we're working on a couple of projects coming up that I think you're gonna like.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Some cool stuff coming up. All right, folks. We'll see y'all next week. Enjoy the wrestling. Have a good one.